Hello, welcome back to this video, and today we're going to see how to do and how to analyze the quadrants before we do any disarm. So if you want to do anything like this, like a snake disarm, or this type of disarms, or even this type of disarms, you need to understand what the quadrants are. And we're going to get a little bit closer so you can see. You can start from your block and counter, or you can actually start just from a block, so you attack, and I'm going to block with, from this side can also be. The only thing is from there, you have to analyze that after you form the cross between your stick and the other person's stick, and that's how you're probably going to be blocking, you have to look at the four quadrants that you have. You have two on the tops and two on the bottom. You have top outside, top inside, bottom outside, and bottom inside. Same as if you block from the other side, you have the same thing, top outside, top inside, bottom outside, bottom inside, excuse me, and bottom outside. So what does determine the outside and the inside? Well, the inside is determined by the hand. So in this case, the closest to the hand, that's going to be the inside part. The farthest from the hand, that's going to be the outside part. So when we go on the first one, this is going to be top first, and this is probably the one that you normally start with. Now, I'm going to indicate again, what to do with his left hand with all of the quadrants. But before, we have to analyze that anything that I'm about to explain to you happens here at this range or shorter range. If you're in longer range, as I always say, your hand should not be approaching the stick at all, because you're going to get hit, and the chances of you getting hit is much higher, and you're going to receive a lot of damage. So keep that in mind when you're training this and trying to incorporate that to your work. So in this case, again, 4 different quadrants. The first one that you're going to encounter is the top inside. In this case, when you go to the top inside, you want to approach this by trapping with your 3 fingers and the 2 fingers. If you have watched the video on how to trap the hand, you understand what I'm talking about. And there are a couple of things that you can do, but basically the idea behind this is to hook it against you. Again, one more time, this is the idea, to hook it against you. What you don't want is to just oppose, unless that your idea is to attack right away, not control the stick anywhere. So as much as you can, in this case particularly, when you're feeding the other person, you have to try to get a hold of the stick. Because if you don't, even if you manage to hit the other person, but the person has that hand free, the person can attack you back. So again, your main goal, particularly now that we're seeing quadrants, in order for you to understand how disarms work, you really have to get a hold of that stick. So again, the first one is clear because that's actually the thing that we did when we were explaining how to control the hand. But the second one is actually very similar in the sense that I'm still going to control with the 3 fingers to the hand and the 2 fingers dedicated to the stick. Now, what can I do after that? I'm going to flip it towards the other side. So again, one more time, 1 and 2. You can flip it towards the other side. One more time, 1 and 2. Now, can you get a hold of that and just pull it back? Absolutely, you can pull it back, and this is a little bit safer. However, every time you finish with your palm facing up, the person can slap you down and then take it much easier, which is going to be much harder than when I flip it, because in this case, the person would have to lift it, and I'm going to oppose by even using my body. So that is not going to work the same way. So once I've explained the inside, which is probably the easiest one, the outside is no different, but now you have to understand the nuance behind this. As I said before, there's actually more power at the end of the stick. So you have to take this with a grain of salt. So you have to be very careful when you practice this. You're going to do a strong block, obviously, but then you're going to tap. Let's actually move a little bit back so you can actually see a little bit better. You're going to be tapping and checking against your body. That's actually the first skill. So when you block, you're going to bring this towards yourself. The same way that before you were hooking towards yourself, you're going to be hooking kind of like against the stick. 2 things can happen from there. First, once you do this, you can strike the person, right? As you can see, I'm hooking. I'm not necessarily grabbing, but at this point, kind of like it looks the same. But also it frees me from attacking their face. Now, why? The person can actually pull back, but by the time that they do, I'm going to attack their face first. So again, one more time, here, right away. And again, the idea is the same. You hook it, but now, rather than hooking the hand as we were doing before, you're going to hook the stick. Second is very similar to what we were doing before, kind of like the same hooking from underneath, but now on the top and underneath, excuse me, of the stick, and you're going to flip it towards the other side like this. And in the same way that before, I could actually hook it and trap, which you can. You can actually hook and trap from the top, and you can actually hook and grab from underneath. It's just that you're not going to go and trap right away. What you do is kind of like flipping, and as you flip, you're grabbing. Again, one more time, this is the idea at the end. Now, why? Because from here, you can prepare for already a disarm, which is one possibility, but even if it doesn't work, you can still strike with your other stick and gain some range while you retain the other person's weapon, which is the most important thing. So we have covered this side already. Now, things that we can do from this side, similarly, when I'm here, I have the 4 quadrants, but now I'm going to turn because now you can see from the other side what am I going to do? Same thing. We're going to start with the easiest one. You can actually trap from underneath, from top, excuse me, and inside. You can trap the 3 fingers and 2 fingers. Keep in mind that when you do that, you normally want to pull it down towards your belly to free that hand, for example. You can also move it alternative towards the other side. You can rotate, but as I said before, every time you end up with your palm facing up, the person can slap down, and then obviously the person can release it much easier and attack you. But obviously this will free your time to punch. Again, you're going to win, quote unquote, that because even if the person slaps down, you're going to strike first, right? Ideally, as I said before, you're going to retain the weapon like this, either by pulling against your belly. At the same time, you can punch, right? Or you're going to actually just grab it here, sustain it for doing something else. Like, for example, trying to push against the person. Particularly when the person is pulling in stronger than you can take advantage of that. But the skill that you have to learn is trapping, which again, this is how to trap the hand. That's the same video that I explained. Hopefully that clarified a little bit more. But what to do in the other quadrants? We have the now inside and we have on the bottom. So what you're going to do is you're going to be kind of like the same sandwich motion that I was explaining before, but you're going to come from underneath, meaning you're going to strike between, you're going to strike towards your hand. Imagine that you're going to make a sandwich between your stick and your hand, and their stick is going to be in the middle, like this. So that way you can actually trap much better. Now, what should you focus with this hand? So your hand, your palm is going to be underneath his thumb, so you can trap the thumb, just in case when you grab it, you have more power, and when you twist, you can actually break the thumb when you do that, or dislocate it. At the very least, you have more control over the arm, right? So again, one more time, 1 and 2, that's the sandwich that you're going to form. Now, as you can see, there are many possibilities that I told you that you can do. First one, you can rotate and then you can pull. By breaking the thumb, you can actually take the weapon, but you can also attack right away. Even if this doesn't work, it fails, the person pulls back, you can still strike, as you can see, because you're still retaining the weapon, because that's the main skill that you're going to learn today, and that's the main purpose of understanding the quadrants and how to trap the hand, right? Now, other quadrants that we have is the outside now on the top. In this case, similar to what you were doing before, in which you were pulling towards yourself. You can actually do the same with this hand on the outside. Be careful though that you can't do this because you're going to cross your hand. So what you do is pulling, but now this is freeing from underneath. So you can attack the ribs, for example, right? So again, once you're here, one more time, you can do the same as what you were doing before, but now you cannot punch on top. You would have to go from underneath because the top is going to be covered by their stick and their hand, right? So again, one more time, 1, 2, here, 3, and then you can attack the ribs. Now, as I was also doing before, things that I can do from this side. In this case, I was going this way. Now, contrary to what most people are going to believe, I'm not going to try to trap like this because this is an awkward position. It's more difficult than it was before from the other side to try to mimic the exact same thing. Meaning, if I try to do the same thing and try to pull my palm facing up, first of all, it requires me to already twist in that direction so the person can pursue and continue the attack, and I have less to offer to kind of like counter that force. So I really want to be going against the person, so I'm not going to be twisting in that way. But what can I do? So I'm going to bring this hand underneath, and I'm going to clear that towards the other side. So in this case, this is actually only useful for clearing. So as you can see, it's an easy clear. You don't have to actually use your hand. You can actually go slightly deeper with your form and clear in that side. You might say, why am I going to do that? Well, because once you do this, you can actually attack from underneath. not only for thrusting, but you can also continue going from underneath, hiding and getting closer towards the other person, and you can attack with a punch, for example, or even this for a punch. So things that are required for that skill: first of all, strong block as usual. Second of all, you're gonna bring your hand underneath. And third, and this is probably the most important one, duck, because the person is gonna hit you on the head. So this is actually useful. So just in case, you're gonna duck underneath as you move that towards the other side. So one more time, 1, 2, duck from underneath, and then you can attack. And again, this is actually very useful for when you bring it from underneath for a thrust, but that's not the unique attack that you can do. There are plenty of things that you can do here. You can attack towards the knee, for example. You can actually bring this from underneath and attack the face from underneath. So there are plenty of things that you can do, but what are the skills that we're learning today? Again, defining the quadrants and defining what I can do with this hand. Let's actually analyze again. From this side, actually, 1, 2. Hand pulling towards yourself, 1. Now the other quadrant, I'm gonna pull towards myself, like such. Number 3, pretty much the same as I was doing before, but I'm gonna pull it against my opposite shoulder, freeing the bottom part so I can attack the bottom. Number 4, I come from underneath and I roll towards the other side. What happens on the other side? Let's review again. 1, 2, I'm gonna always start with the easiest part. I'm gonna retain and hook. And again, this is the idea, hooking towards yourself so you can free this side. You can attack with the puño, or you can even bring this up and do any other attack, or even bring the puño to finish with another disarm. Now, number 2 from this side, underneath now, my palm is facing up and I'm gonna flip it towards the other side, freeing this side. I can attack the leg, I can attack the ribs, but more importantly, I have control over the weapon. Number 3, now I'm going towards the outside. I can pull towards myself, same as I was doing before, but when I do, I can do 2 things. One, bring it towards my belly and freeing the top, or kind of like bring it together against the stick, which allows me to then attack the hand if I wanted to, without actually having to leave my stick contacting the other person's stick. And number 4, finally, same as I was doing before, but now I'm gonna clear towards the other side, which I can do right away here, clearing. And then as you can see, I can attack right away, or bring it towards the other side and grabbing, just in case I wanna use that for a follow-up and bring it back towards the opposite side. So hopefully you'll see a couple of possibilities that you can bring to your practice. I hope that this is useful. Thank you so much for watching the video. If you like it, please click like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Ush.